Welcome back to the Source One podcast and the concluding installment of ISM 2019 Trends and Topics. The year's premier supply chain event starts this weekend, and today I'm sharing with you the conclusion of my conversation with Charlotte de Brabandt and Jan Griffiths. You'll hear us discuss the value of empathetic leadership and the unique skill sets that will define the next generation of procurement professionals. Enjoy. So you've both hinted at the importance of purpose, and so much of what we read about what millennials really want from their employer, more than perks, more than money, is that sense of purpose. I'm wondering, how does a manager go about instilling a sense of purpose or differentiating themselves as a purposeful manager? What's like a first step that you would recommend leaders take?
Well, it starts at the top, right? So it starts with the CEO of an organization to clearly articulate the purpose and the story and the brand for that company. The brand starts with the people. It starts with the culture. It starts internally. It's not just about the marketing aspect of it. That's step one. And then as a leader of a function, so then if you're a leader of a supply chain team or a procurement team, then you would feed off of that. That purpose would be so clear. It would be driving you. Once you've got that clarity from the top, you're able to perhaps take your group off-site and spend some time focusing and understanding and developing the purpose for that group. Once you've got that, then you've got your guiding light, if you will. And it's much easier for people coming into the group or into the organization to see how they attach to that. When you see a behavior that reinforces the purpose, it's important to recognize that behavior and call it out. So often we want to focus on the negative behaviors and call them out. We need to focus on the positive to say, this is our purpose in life, and this is what it means to live that purpose every day in the workforce.
I like that, and I think you get it at an important point. I think new generations of professionals in particular are increasingly skeptical that businesses really stand for anything. So the idea of really living that purpose, making it a real part of their workday life. Charlotte, same question. How would you recommend leaders and managers go about instilling a sense of purpose in their employees?
Just to add on the last sentence, what Jan said, leading that purpose every day, I think that truly reflects the role of the current manager at the moment. It's a matter of leading a new family. You have a family at home, but this is in a way your family at work, and living this purpose on a daily basis with your family, being there for each other and creating this fun workplace and this environment. Leaders nowadays, they need to be visionary and inspirational and not just management. Millennials, they have a high value on self-care, convenience, but also time with their loved ones. So creating that loving work environment, I think it will make a big difference. And for me, truly the definition of finding talents, embracing these talents and making them even better than you are. I think this is how we are going to flourish in the future. That's how the right work environment can be created.
Bennett, let me give you an example, if I may, of how the leadership and the roles have changed and are certainly changing now. In the past, the leader of a business or supply chain team considered themselves the captain and the player. The behavior that was rewarded in many industries was the behavior of somebody who could captain the team, control the team, tell them what to do, but also play the game. You were rewarded for the amount of work and output and tasks that you would accomplish. And the coaching part was really downplayed. So if you think of a sports team, you've got the captain, a player, and a coach. And you couldn't ever imagine the coach being the player and the captain. So now we're starting to see the team leader move away from being the captain and the player to more of the captain and the coach, and really spending more time coaching and supporting people than telling them what to do and actually doing it themselves in some cases.
I like that analogy a lot.
I very much liked it as well. I started to visualize it, and I think in a nutshell, the challenge for a leader is to anticipate change and turn this change into an opportunity and motivation And I think in the future, organizations, they need to show interest in their people.
All the millennials that I speak to and younger in the workforce, without exception, when I ask them the question, what do you want from your boss or a leader? It is time. I want to know how I'm doing. I want feedback, and I want access. I want to have dialogue. They want to be engaged. And that's very different to the type of leadership we've seen and had in the past. They want the coach. Coach me.
It seems like, yeah, it's both the best way to actually keep your team, engaged and happy and productive, and also the best way to go about anticipating change, like you say. Where's the best place to get those insights about where things are going and what the workforce really wants? I would imagine it's from the workforce itself. So you've spoken both about the importance of kind of fearlessly seizing opportunities and speaking up as a millennial professional. How else would you recommend millennials go about identifying the best new opportunity? I'm interested especially in how should a millennial assess a potential employer? How can they determine whether or not it's the right kind of leadership model?
You start with the website, right? You start with their digital footprint. And if the company has a good digital footprint, if it has a clear message that's well understood, then chances are that's a sign of the culture. I know that sounds crazy, right? It's like judge a company by the website, but you can tell a lot by the amount of attention that has gone into that website as to what that culture will be in that company. That's step one. Step two is the initial engagement with that company. Do they treat you with respect? Do you get the sense that you're going to be following the rules? Do they follow through with their commitments? Do they call you back when they say they're going to call you back? Does your information go into a black hole? What is that initial experience look like and feel like? And if your gut tells you for 1 second that it's not the right place, then it's not the right place. Listen to the gut.
Charlotte, same question. How would you recommend a millennial professional who's maybe looking for a new opportunity or looking for their first foot in the door go about assessing potential employers?
For me, what's crucial is that the employer knows what they want, where they are heading to, and what their purpose is. So I think this is something which you can easily pick up also while doing different searches, but going to conferences, hearing speakers, research some of the leaders, how they articulate themselves, speak about the company. And when you feel that there's a clear credo in there, a guidance of what their purpose is, their mission statement, that already shows you that they know what they're doing and where they're heading towards.
You bring up the subject of the future, and that I think leads nicely into my last question. A final question for both of you. What gives you hope for the future of cross-generational collaboration in procurement or in business as a whole? What are some positive signs that you've seen?
Well, especially in my field, supply chain procurement, it's very much a untouched territory looking at the future developments. And still, if you speak to different millennials or thought leaders or leaders out there at all the different conferences, people are still talking about blockchain, AI, IoT, all these digital technologies which are around us. Or I recently even got to meet Sophia, the humanoid robot. So again, this cognitive computing aspect. And I think especially in our field, there's just a great future which is waiting for us with these new technologies evolving, with all of these innovations ahead of us. And we've already started, or we are right in the middle of it. Gartner predicts that by 2020, 50% of all of the major businesses, they are going to already have some sort of IoT in their supply chain, which is just remarkable. What I'm very excited for is how this maturity of technology is going to evolve. And I think the question is no longer if, but rather when these sort of technologies are going to be there.
Jan, anything to add on what gives you hope for the future?
One piece, and that is the millennial discussion for me is part of the broader diversity and inclusion discussion. As companies see the value of diversity and inclusion to the innovation agenda, as they move forward in their transformation, then it will be a broader diversity and inclusion discussion, and I would hope that we can get away from the label of these generations.
Well, that about wraps it up for everything I wanted to cover today. Thanks again to you both, and I look forward to seeing you in Houston. Thanks for listening to the Source One podcast. We'll see you in Houston.